Luna Ascending by Zaina Wilder. Copyright Zaina Wilder 2024. All rights reserved.
Chapter 4. Freya. "I saw you were running low," the slightly accented voice announces in my ear. "Tonight is not an evening for anyone to be out of alcohol." A shiver of anticipation slides deliciously down my spine. Maybe the evening isn't going to be such a waste after all. Easing into the chair opposite me is a man who looks utterly flawless. Suddenly, I feel like a little girl in a party frock. Self-conscious, I tug at the hem of my dress and fiddle with my bracelet. He's immaculately turned out in that expensive, non-showy way the super-rich have. Even his haircut screams expensive, exclusive. I bet it took 3 times longer to style than my own. Worse still, when he turns side on, I realise this is the guy who spotted my forgery. This is Artman. My palms start to sweat and I grip my glass a little too tightly. Taking a big gulp of the drink, I barely manage to murmur a response. "It's an awful night to be without Bubbles," I say into my glass. "To be honest, it's mostly just an awful night." My unexpected confession makes his eyes glint. With an elegant swoop, he clinks glasses with me and toasts to meeting a beautiful lady and making the most of an awful night. He purrs. I stare at him. What's this guy on? He can't really be attracted to me. He's probably more into this designer dress of Liz's than what's underneath it. Whatever it is, I'm going to use his interest to my full advantage. I am not made for jail. He gently touches my hand and I start. "Ma chérie, do you think perhaps we could meet somewhere less crass for a proper date?" I snatch my arm away before what he's saying has even registered. Heat sweeps up my neck and across my face. Shit, I can just tell I'm beetroot red. Glancing quickly into his eyes, I let out a little sigh of relief. He's amused. Damn it, I'm not normally so flighty. I just wasn't expecting... Well, I wasn't expecting anyone like him. Squaring my shoulders, my carefully planned approach flies out the window with his next words. "We could check out some of the local galleries," he prompts. Sure, I'd like that. I'm an artist myself, although I don't know that I'd trust your opinion." He arches an eyebrow and I rush on before I lose my nerve. I couldn't help it. I overheard your conversation in the hall. You thought you'd spotted a fraud. I managed to roll my eyes dramatically, but my heart is hammering. He has to buy this. I won't go to jail. I can't stand people who do drama, especially if they don't know what they're talking about. This time, when I glance at him, he's stock still. Well, nothing for it now. I have to go in for the kill. I mean, it's obviously one of the artist's earlier works, less refined, but it has his signature all over it. I lean in conspiratorially. "But I might have a slight advantage over you. My best friend is just about to purchase it. Liz Hager, you know the family name? They have their own personal art evaluators. And I know she'd never touch anything dodgy. So, yeah, it ain't fake." Consternation flits across his face, and for a moment he seems about to argue. I toss my hair back, trying to emulate Liz when she's flirting. His eyes flick to my neck and dip briefly to my cleavage. "You seem to know your art," he says slowly, his eyes still fixated on me. Smart and beautiful. What a mix." I can't help it. I squirm a little, rubbing at my birthmark. His hand shoots out and grabs mine, moving my fingers while he studies my neck. That is a beautiful part of you. Don't hide it. Imperfections are beauty." His fingers brush my neck, moving my hair away. I pull back, surprised. I wasn't hiding it. Not really. But he seems charmed by it and me. I can't quite believe my luck. I'm totally out of practice at flirting, but somehow, in the next moment, he's introduced himself as Mark, and we're planning a date. He makes it so easy. The relief at having persuaded him, for the moment at least, is intoxicating. Some of his date ideas are so surreal that I loosen up a little, teasing him about the ridiculousness of them. An all-expenses-paid shopping trip, a spot of dinner in Martin Wishaw's. He has connections to arrange a reservation, of course. A wine-tasting tour on board a super yacht, or a hop across the sea for a lunch in Paris. Who suggests shit like this? Ignoring my eye rolls, he keeps throwing out suggestions. Perhaps keep it a little more real then, ma chérie. What about a spa day? He muses. We definitely get to see more of each other in a spa. My eyebrows wriggle before I can stop them. I'm pretty sure full-on innuendo with this sophisticated gentleman is a faux pas. I can't believe I just blurted that out. I am definitely tipsy. He runs a finger down the stem of his glass and grins seductively. Indeed. The buzzer sounds for the next date, and I jump, splashing my champagne on the table. Smooth. Really smooth. Why can't I be a normal human being for once and not an awkward klutz? Mark doesn't rush off, though. He doesn't seem like someone who's used to being rushed. He kisses me on both cheeks and tops up my glass before sliding away on beautiful leather red-soled shoes. The bubbles are going to my head. I could have sworn he sniffed me there. Shaking my head, I eye the refreshed drink. He was definitely the highlight of the evening. I'm going to need all the false courage in this glass to get me through my last few dates. By the time the next few very bland men have traipsed past, I'm ready to leave. I'm more than ready to leave, although I can't help noticing that Mark occasionally glances over with a smile. Now that my full-blown panic has abated, I can admit he is the definition of elegance. To be fair, if I'm judging the guys here on looks alone, then the quality of the men in this room is princely. Too bad most of them seem to take one look at me and revert to the kind of polite chit-chat you have with your grandma. Either that, or sleazy remarks about one-night stands. There's no middle ground with these guys. The last few dates drag hideously until I spot him. Leaning against the bar is the impressive hunk of a hairy man I saw earlier, the one oozing dominance. He's watching the whole show with a wry amusement, and, I swear, every now and then staring at me with an amazing intensity. He has eyes I could drown in, happily. The final bell eventually goes. Oh, thank the goddess that's over. I survived, and not only that, I'm going to avoid jail. I peel the stupid name tag off as Liz stalks over. I know her well enough to see the telltale hint of concern in her eyes. I thought we agreed that one was mine, she demands, jerking her head towards Tavy. You agreed. I naughtily stoke her jealousy. I agreed to no such thing. Tavy and I had a lovely time. Liz's scowl deepens. It was like we'd known each other our whole lives, I chuckle. He gave me the biggest hug, Liz. Liz growls, a deep, throaty growl, an actual I-shit-you-not growl. Unable to hold it together any more, a cackle escapes me. Okay, I admit, I don't fancy him, but he took my mind off the bloody painting, though. We may have taken the piss out of some of our awful dates, too. I grin at Liz. And do you realise you just growled? A proper growl. Like a bloody cat with a mouse. Liz bats me away. So you're not interested in him? Really? Really not interested? You have to tell me the truth, Freya. No, not a hint of attraction, Liz. And more importantly, your best friend is not going to jail. Are you even listening? That art guy, Mark, he won't say a thing. At least not tonight. She seems to barely register my glee, and I have to reassure her several times about Tavy before she lets it go. Sheesh, talk about intense. I've never seen Liz act like this. A shadow looms over us. Since that sham's over, I can safely say hello without being moved on in 5 minutes. A deep voice murmurs in my ear. I'm Dirk, and buying into the cheesiness of tonight, I have to say you are the most stunning woman here. Something about the voice does funny things to me. I look up at the most rugged guy I've ever seen, and I choke on my own drink. It's the guy who was propping up the bar, and he's talking to me. I might move you on right now, Liz bites back. Then she takes in my deer-in-the-headlight expression and elbows me in the ribs. Before I can finish spluttering out my protest, she's excused herself, chuckling. My heart thunders and I have to take some deep, long breaths. This is ridiculous. I'm schoolgirl crushing. I'm genuinely not sure I'm going to manage to get my words out. My mouth is like dust. This guy, Dirk, is utterly not my type. He's outdoorsy, with well-toned muscles nestling under a crisp shirt and jeans. Not the showy gym bunny kind of muscles either. Not the ones that aren't actually strong. Nope, he looks strong. Ah, shit, I'm staring at him, aren't I? Too many drinks and too long since I had a boyfriend. I steel myself for a look into his amused face. The skin at the corners of his eyes crinkles. Gonna top up your drink? He reaches for my glass and our fingers touch. We jerk our hands back simultaneously and the champagne flute clatters to the floor, smashing into hundreds of slivers. Shit! Your fault! You gave me a shock! He laughs, a nice, easy-sounding, genuine laugh. I'll accept the blame if you let me buy you another. Do you normally store such static? He shakes his hand ruefully. Enjoyable and sore at the same time. He grins wickedly. Does touching you always combine pleasure with pain? I'm weirdly charmed and slightly scandalized, although who the hell knows why? It's definitely not the sleaziest thing anyone said tonight. Catching myself, I manage to give the bartender a little nod as he hovers, waiting to see if I'd like a fresh drink. As I said, I'm Dirk Varg. The hunk of a man holds out his hand again, and I hesitantly take it. His palm is rough, calloused, like he's not afraid of hard work. It feels cool in mine. There's no electric shock when we touch this time, but a delicious tingling runs over my body. I eye him over the top of the glass the bartender slips into my grasp. I can't quite believe it's me he's interested in, and not Liz. He cocks his head to one side. It's customary at this point to tell me your name, too? A blush creeps up my face yet again. I am not normally like this with men. I don't do giddy schoolgirl. I can hold my own. Normally. Freya, I splutter out. Freya Faye. He holds my hand a little longer than necessary, and I can hear my pulse as it thunders in my ear. His shirt is hugging his abs, and the rolled-up sleeves highlight a gorgeous tan. I gulp my drink as a distraction, and the bubbles surge to my head. We take a seat in a beautiful corner booth, all dark wood and stained glass. But I can't really appreciate the stunning surroundings. He's so close. His muskiness mixed with a fresh pine scent invades my nostrils. He has no right smelling that good. Without thinking, I lean in closer. He reaches out, brushing my hair away from my face. It's such an intimate gesture, and so different to when Mark touched me. I don't jerk away. I lean in a little further. Goosebumps form deliciously across my skin, gathering to a delightful tingle where his fingertips graze my neck. Hell, that shouldn't feel so good. An amazingly short half-hour later, Dirk pulls out his wildly beeping phone, a frown creasing his rugged good looks. As he steps away with a scowl, my nerves rush back. This is all going so well. Too well. Moments later, he hurries back, pale under his tan. I'm sorry, Freya. There's a family emergency. I have to go. They need every single one of us back. I have to go right now. He whirls around, heading for the door. Wait, Dirk, do you need more people? Can I help? No. He glances back and a flash of consternation passes over his face. I mean, no thank you, Freya. It's complicated. My family, they don't approve of anyone outside of our community. They wouldn't appreciate me bringing a woman back who wasn't one of ours, especially not in a crisis. But thank you. You have a kind heart. In 2 quick strides, he's out of sight, leaving me alone and confused. One of ours? Does he live in a commune? Maybe it's some kind of religious thing. I swing my leg, kicking at the table despondently. It's an emergency, and he doesn't owe me an explanation. We just met. But I can't shake the feeling of being shut out. I knew it was going too well. It's oddly gutting. Not the easy conversation I struck up with Tavy, but Dirk and I, we had an instant and very physical attraction. Everything else didn't seem to matter once we got talking, and my nerves evaporated the longer we chatted. When Dirk first appeared, looking so self-assured, I couldn't help but watch him, cursing under my breath. It dawns on me. It's probably the reaction he gets from all women. He is soul-crushingly handsome. He was enjoying himself with me, though. It wasn't just a one-way flirtation. But now it sounds like his family wouldn't approve of me anyway, and he's vanished into thin air. I groan, just as Liz pops up at my elbow. She looks pleased with herself. Scratch that. She looks delighted. Liz tracked Tavy down in one of the hotel bars, and they had a cosy chat. He apologised for trying to put some distance between them, claiming he'd been a bit overwhelmed by how much he felt for her so quickly, and with her track record for men. Snorting to myself, I silently agree with him. I can definitely see how that would be off-putting. I'm sure he doesn't know the half of it either. Liz is a man-eater. Was a man-eater, maybe? I look at her, still half sceptical, but she seems to be buying Tavy's line. She's been weirdly besotted, so I guess it might be mutual. In which case, I'm about to turn into a third wheel. Awesome. Liz catches me looking around and sighs. It's just us, darling. He got called away. Some family emergency. My thoughts start to whirl. That's exactly the same excuse Dirk just used. They're nothing alike. They can't be family, surely. At least I have his number. She smiles. We're mating up later this week. My own smile drops. I didn't get Dirk's number. Worse still, he only watched the speed dating. So the app will be pretty useless to contact him. And he didn't ask for my number. Frowning, I let Liz lead me outside. Maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe I was just too busy drooling to notice. The fresh, cool air in my face brings me back to reality. Okay, so I'm not going home with some hunk's number in my phone. But on the bright side, not one but 2 handsome men hit on me tonight. I can't remember the last time anyone tried to chat me up. Mark thoroughly schmoozed me with his elegant charm, and the more rough and ready Dirk set my pants on fire. A warmth pools in my belly. But even better, I'm not about to be jailbait. Not yet, at least. Liz, in her usual super-efficient style, has already lined up a meeting between her art evaluators and Alessandro. I owe her. Possibly forever. We chatter nonsense about love, flings and sexy men in a warm alcohol haze right up until I spill out of her car and up my crumbling tenement steps. Going to bed after midnight? I've not done this in a very long time. My phone beeps just as I get into my flat. That bloody dating app is sending out reminders already. I need to delete it ASAP. Quickly I swipe no on a few faces. I hover over Mark's profile before swiping yes and grinning to myself. I crawl out of the fancy clothes and into my distinctly scruffy unicorn pyjamas and clamber into bed. If he could see me right now, there is no way he would be interested.